You have watched countless of videos that have spoke about flashcards, different note-taking systems, flowcharts, mind maps, and all of that things, and you are still here and still watching those same videos. That means they haven't benefited you. Now, I promise you that today's video is gonna be the last one you will ever need to see regarding study techniques. And you know what? After studying those many books, you can trust me that I know what study technique will work. I used to be the guy with a 65-ish percentage on every test and exam, and now I never get below 90%. Like, it is very absurd for me to get 90% even if I do not study. I'll teach you the same techniques that I use, and you can see anywhere from 5 to 25% marks increase or percentage increase if you apply them correctly. Even if you are a 95% guy, you will cross the boundary and you will get to the high 90s, 97, 98. Here is the reveal. Alright, the study technique is practicing exam papers, and this can be in the forms of sample papers which have been designed on the basis of your curriculum, or this can be previous year questions, the same questions which were in the previous years of your classes. But before practicing any of that, do make sure that you actually know the concepts, what is going on. Otherwise, you will just not understand what the question is. If you are just starting out a new class, don't practice the sample paper technique. Just get to know the information first, have a quick view, a quick summary, and then you can start applying those concepts in the practice papers. And now don't run away, because this might seem like an idiotic idea to you for whatever reason, but I will guarantee that it is not. Stick with me, and if you are the guy who already does that, then congratulations to you, but you're gonna learn some more advanced tactics in this one. Now we need to understand the type of practicing these PYQs or sample papers. These are of two types. Number one, it is seeing the PYQs or sample papers, doing them as you go, and checking the answers whenever you don't know. You're trying to solve the previous year paper like a question bank. You're gonna see the first question, you're gonna try to attempt it. Even if you can't, then you're gonna see the answers, and then you will write the answers beside. This will help in various things, because this will make you understand what type of questions are gonna come. It is gonna make the foundation for those people who have not yet tried the study techniques. This will make you very aware of the wordings that the examiner or the teacher will use to ask you questions. Like, there are various words like elucidate, elaborate, differentiate. These kinds of words you will get familiar by seeing the questions. This will help you to know what type of preparation you should be aiming for. This will help you know the level of questions and the level of understanding you need to attempt those questions. Some questions are MCQ based only, whether some as are like long 200, 500 words answers. There are various types of questions. On a side note, if you haven't used Pareto's principle or the basically 80-20 rule in your studies, then go and watch this one. Now coming back to type 2, this is for the relatively advanced people among us. This is basically full on exam preparation before the exam. Take the paper, set the timer for 3 hours or 6 hours or whatever, however long the exam is. Sit there, complete the entire exam, and you are not allowed to leave that place until the exam is done. It is basically mimicking the exam hall scenario in your own room and doing the things like it is actually an exam, and then grading the paper. 3 hours, no distractions, only the exam, and then whatever questions you did not or could not able to attempt, those you will cut down, or you will just do negative marking, whatever your curriculum is, and you will grade your assignment. Let's say it is out of 100. You will be able to see how much you got out of 100. It is basically exam but at home. So let's say you got 65 in the first round. Then similarly, once you get those 65 marks, you are gonna see whatever the weak part is. How did I miss those 35 marks? This will allow you to test your capabilities of however much you know a certain topic. If a question is too far deep into the topic you haven't studied, then you are gonna know that questions are gonna come from that part of the topic, and then you will be able to study those particular topics where the questions are most likely to come. It also boosts your confidence, because once you give exams so many times, the actual exam in the examination hall will feel like a breeze, because you have already tried so many times and you're already familiar with the circumstances, you're already familiar with the environment, and you're already familiar with the way how you are gonna approach the exam paper. So you have already took all that stress and already distributed it throughout your preparation. So on the actual day of the examination, you're not gonna feel those panic attacks or anxiety attacks because it imitates the real examination and you're gonna be accustomed to it. Now if you are one of the advanced among the advanced people, then this is the section that is gonna help you, and the newbies would prefer to stay away because they haven't even done one attempt of the sample paper, so this might get overwhelming. But if you can, then yeah, sure, do this step, because this is the step which is gonna separate you from the good to the great. This is basically tracking your progress. Let's say there is a guy who randomly gives exams whenever he feels like it and doesn't even track how much marks he is getting. In one he is getting 71, in one he is getting 50, doesn't care. Another guy, he is giving exams, he is tracking exams, he is scheduling exams, and he is continuously improving. Which guy is gonna be better? Of course this guy, right? What you have to understand is both of them are putting pressure. This guy and this guy, both of them are giving exams, but this guy is tracking the progress, so he is better. Why? Tracking allows us to go back to the data, and it allows us to see what questions we have missed, how much marks we got in the last exam, how much marks we have got in this current exam, what is the gap, and however much we have improved in those gaps. Another tactic for those pros among us will be setting the time limit for each of the sections of the question papers. In most curriculums, the question paper is divided among segments, right? Section A, section B, section C. Similarly, you can allocate specific timings to the sections. Let's say I'm gonna complete section A in 20 minutes. I'm gonna complete section D in 1 hour. Like this, if you do this, then it's not gonna be only 3 hours. It's gonna be a struggle for each and every 20, 40 or however much long you set the time. Then you're gonna actually know that can you do those things in that much amount of time or not? Do you need extra time or not? Now all of this said during the exam, what will happen after this? After this, what you have to do is revise, and this is very thrown around word in this education space because nobody actually tells you how to revise. So I'm gonna tell you how to revise after the exams. After the exams, take a separate notebook, list out all the questions that you weren't able to answer, or that's answer were too different from yours, basically which did not match with the marking scheme. Write them down in that copy and write the answers too. Continuously revisit the copy and just try to see whatever you are lacking. Even if you after 5 tries cannot able to understand what the answers were, go back to the textbook and read the concept. You will be able to see when you write on those textbooks that whether it is a calculation mistake, it is a theory mistakes, did you read the questions wrong. You will be able to analyze different kind of situations, and this will not have to be faced again by you. Let's say in the questions the value was given 503 and you wrote 502. That's why the answer came different. So now you know you have a habit of misreading. Now you will read the questions more carefully. Similarly, if it was a theory questions, let's say it was given on the structure of atoms, but you don't know the structure of atoms, then you will go and study those structure of atom part. And if it is purely calculations, like you could not multiply two numbers properly or you could not do something, what I highly recommend is doing the calculation slowly. Don't take help from a calculator or some of your friends who have already got the answer. What you can try is you can do the calculation slowly. There is no shame, right? Because you are improving yourself. Doesn't matter if a simple calculation takes you 5 minutes to do, because at the end of the day you're comparing yourself to yourself right now, not to the topper. Because if you are comparing yourself to the topper, then your calculation speed would have been on par with the topper. Since you're comparing yourself with yourself right now, which is good for the short term but not for the long term, then you ought to see how much time you take to calculate. What I personally did was set a timer, see how many 2-digit calculations, let's say multiplications, can I do in those timer. I set a timer for a single calculation, how much long it took me. Let's say a 2-digit multiplication took me about roughly 15 seconds, right? Then next time I would try to get it in 14 or 13. Then like this I got my calculation speed to a very limited time. These are some of the very advanced tactics for people to implement, and if you think they are not advanced and you are thinking that I can do everything from tomorrow onwards, even if you are a noob at this right now, then you've got a lot to conquer. And I would just say don't get overconfident and start with the PYQs and start with step 1. Don't come into this territory just right now. Improve over time. Don't try to do everything at once, because then you will feel demotivated and you will not do a single thing. So it is bad for you only. If you have made it this far, then you're different from all of those people around you who are literally mindless. But you know what? There is another thing that is harming your productivity and you don't even realize what it is. That's scary, man. Go and click this one to know what it is. And if you have problem regarding sitting down to focus, then go and click this one. I'll see you in the next one. Start if you haven't already.